listening to The Power of Sound on Boombox Music Talk.
Hey, I want to have you read for this character. We're looking for kind of like this, resonant kind of guy with he's got a Hispanic accent, so he was like, have you ever watched King of the Hill? And I was like, I love King of the Hill. Yeah, of course. He's like, there's this guy on TV in King of the Hill. He's like a priest who fights people. And his catchphrase is, and before you could say it, I was like, vaya con Dios.
Welcome to Boombox Music Talk. I'm Mark, and today on The Power of Sound, we are exploring the world of personas and the art of voice acting.
Yeah, exactly.
My guest today hails from Dallas, Texas, and is intimately familiar with the process of creating personas, whether it's his career as a UX UI designer, his voiceover work and animation in the video game industry, as well as embodying the role of clown in the Slipknot tribute band Sick. So, some of you may know him from some of his anime appearances that include One Piece,
Bring it!
My Hero Academia,
You shouldn't be pursuing personal grudges.
The Daily Life of the Immortal King and a Sign of Affection,
My liver is yours for destroying.
as well as additional voices here and there in properties such as Attack on Titan, Mobile Suit Gundam, and the Borderlands game. Ethan Gallardo, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, how's it going, Mark? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure you had offers from pros with much bigger followings than mine.
Been looking forward to this. It was really cool to find out about your music side as well, because to me, although anime is a very visual medium, just because of what it is. However, to me, the music and voice acting play such a pivotal role in what anime is, in shaping the entire direction, mood, feel of what you're producing, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, in any kind of medium, really, it's. I think people undermine how much music actually adds to how impactful those things are. I mean, I think about video games and animation specifically, like some of those soundtracks or some of those like famous tunes that we hear, like if those didn't exist in those particular properties and stuff, I don't think it would have the kind of cultural, impact that we all know and love from those things. So yeah, it's a huge, they go hand in hand for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And it's funny that you say that too, because and just the process, I guess, of both of those things over the years, like it took a long time for people to realize, number one, just especially, I say people in the West, right, in North America, to understand what anime is and the significance of the storytelling, instead of looking at, we talked about this, we did an episode on Cowboy Bebop. Just that people for a long time looked at animation as kind of this lesser than thing, right? Like it's cartoons, and it's so much more than that. When you start looking into it, the depth of the storytelling gets into some really deep philosophical issues a lot of times.
Oh yeah.
Soon you'll know. Time will help. I feel sorry about your confusion, but this world's never really been about truth or lies. In this world, there's only one thing that's worth knowing: hard facts. Despite this universal truth, people misguidedly choose to only accept the facts that appeal to their way of thinking. They're so limited, they can only accept the truths that are comfortable for them. So, this is simply about wanting to hang on to your personal power. Realizing things may not have been as we accepted them to be unsettles us. It's overwhelming. Are you absolutely sure that you know the truth?
And then the music, Jesus, once you start really diving into that, like when I first started getting into anime and I first started realizing, whoa, this is like full on like orchestra composing type work going on, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And it's cool to see that people are getting more credit for it. The art of voice acting, the composing, all these things that go around animation. People are finally getting some credit.
100%. I think it's even a really cool thing is I've seen, especially locally, or not just locally, but they tour, everywhere. They do full-on orchestra productions for like video games and anime. Like I think they had just done an orchestra tour for One Piece. Which is like, one of the biggest anime out there right now, but packed concert halls of people just wanting to hear their favorite songs from One Piece and stuff. So I think culturally just anime has exploded over the last 10 years or something like that. I think it's always been popular, but now we have anime films like beating out entire box office records and stuff just because the cultural impact or the fandom has become that large.
Yeah,
it's really cool to be a part of. So
absolutely.
Yeah,
my daughter had just sent me a TikTok, I think like 2 days ago. She didn't know that you were coming by or anything. She just happened to come across that. I think it was what you were just talking about, the One Piece orchestra show that they were doing. And I love that kind of stuff, especially when you get to hear it live, man, and you can feel the reverberation, the resonance of the actual instruments. My ex and I also went down, I don't know if you ever heard that candlelight shows that they do, where it's a string quartet. Well, there's several of them, but it's a candlelight series they put on. And so they'll do different genres and different things. And one time we went to one where it's always just it's a quartet, but they did basically anime themes through the years. Some of the more popular ones, and even just that, even though it was a 4-piece, being able to hear some of that, live was freaking awesome.
That's cool.
And also, it's cool to see now that they're starting to mine both anime and the video game industry for transitioning into live action stuff too, like acknowledging this is cool shit, like we should do more with this isn't just a game or a cartoon or whatever, no, these are evolved storytelling, deep storytelling mediums that we can utilize in other capacities. So that's been kind of fun to see with some of the, and I feel like Netflix, sometimes they get hate on because they'll do a season of something, they won't continue it, all that kind of stuff. But you can't overlook the impact that they've had to, if you rewind it, even better than I do, like the companies like Funimation, Crunchyroll, played such a big part in just bringing anime to the States, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. Just having that platform or, as a company being able to distribute anime to begin with, is such a cool thing. Because before, I I don't think I know all the history, right? But I'd imagine if there wasn't a place to distribute anime here in the States, you would just have to deal with imports, right? You would have to do imported anime, and somebody would have to know how to translate it, how to subtitle it, and then if you wanted to go the dubbing route, like somebody, you need a medium to be able to do all of this stuff.
Yeah, it doesn't happen by accident.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, you can even go back and look at, like the old school Power Rangers, right? It's like you had all of these, like, these episodes of something that was filmed in Japan and then came over here and they spliced in, live action actors and made this whole thing out of it culturally. I'd say, I mean, Power Rangers, things like Godzilla, old school, like the Speed Racer anime and things like that. Here comes Speed Racer. All these things coming in really kind of built, they were the building blocks to, have that initial fan base to where some place was like, you know what, maybe we can sell this, or maybe people want to see more of this, right? So I think places like Funimation definitely have their role in history about like getting, anime to a wider audience for sure.
Super important place in that. I know for me, because it was always like you could maybe go down to a comic book shop and they would have a couple, maybe 3 or 4. But even then it was like you got to pay like $30 for 3 episodes maybe.
Yeah.
And maybe you don't even find, next time you might have to skip that and you get the next volume that's like 6, 7, and 8 and you miss the middle part. And it was a beating, expensive, just hard to find. So they really changed the game. The only reason I kind of mention Netflix in that way is because of the reach that they've had, right? I feel like they were the first ones that really had a huge base foundation to go, you know what, this is a important storytelling medium that we should tap into. And now they've started to do, all their own stuff too, and really cool stuff to see things that are also now being produced homegrown in America versus always taking something that's already been produced in Japan or somewhere and translating it over, right? So it's kind of been cool to see it. It's a different process, right?
For sure, yeah. I think the way that they've approached adaptation has been a really cool thing to see.
I've always been taught to be brave and strong, to see the hope when all feels wrong. I've always been taught not to be afraid, and look the prize I paid. I am barely afloat, my sails are set, I'm coming home. I am barely afloat, my sails are set, I'm coming home.
Especially like with the most recent one being like the One Piece adaptation. I think a lot of people were really scared to see this company try to faithfully tell the story of their favorite shows and stuff like that. But I think the consensus is that they really took a lot of love and care into making something for people to enjoy, and I think that's a cool thing. I think streaming in general has really propelled the popularity of some of these kind of shows out there, instead of, I remember when I was growing up and first getting into anime, having to go to like a Best Buy or I think the store was called Suncoast.
You think that your space goes, you want it goes too cold. Fuck that shit, now I go my way and you go yours.
Hello, I am Space Ghost. Welcome to my show.
They don't have it anymore, but you'd have to buy individual volumes of DVD. That was DVDs in general. Right. TV and DVDs in general was, okay, I got my 15 individual DVDs to, my favorite series. Now you can just watch it, you know? And so I think just accessibility and the adaptation also goes into accessibility, the way that people can enjoy stories has really, really propelled the popularity of some of these shows and stuff. Yeah.
Well, and it's a chance to reverse engineer it then.
Right. Exactly.
Like, because a lot of people, they don't even know, right? They're just like, here's this new, whatever show, Cowboy Bebop or One Piece. So I'll check that out.
Right.
Can I help you? Yeah, you can kindly fuck off. It's nothing personal, but your mark's coming with me.
Oh, this was an anime before?
Especially,
what is that,
yeah,
you know?
shows like One Piece, you know, they're going on 1,000+ episodes.
Yeah,
just
right.
knowing that, like, I mean, I'll say even for myself, I'm like, that's intimidating. You know, it's like I'm never going to catch up to this or whatever. But being able to watch, say, the adaptation and know this arc is, you know, condensed into a couple of episodes, you know, it's a little less scary, right? Like maybe I want to take the plunge then. And then if I want to go back and read it or watch it or whatever, I can. But, you know, I think it's giving people options, you know, to get into these stories and stuff.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, totally. It's daunting. Or even, and just for regular people, just even to look at something and say, you know, 26 episodes or whatever, you know, if they're not sure about the storytelling, it is easier to, you know, bite-sized chunks a little bit to kind of dig in.
Yeah.
Or something that they're a little more familiar with.